The year is 2002. Mark Bolland is making his exit from Charles's comms team, and in comes Sir Michael Pete. Sir Michael Pete, in many ways, is the antithesis of Mark Bolland. He's not a PR doctor. He's an accountant. He's good with finances. And he's there to get Charles's house in order because there are other scandals and issues going on that we don't have time to get into. And he's put into positions because they want to stop the leaking. The palace wants to go back to the comms office talking about charities and the works of individual royal family members and not in the personal life and gossip. This is from the Daily Mail around the same time. They claim that Sir Michael Pete made it clear that there was a period of silence that was on the agenda to get things back in order. Sir Michael Pete is also described as the Queen's trusted former treasurer. Again, there seems to be this understanding at this point that Camilla's not going anywhere, so they probably need to get the public prepared for more. Because in 2003, Camilla moves into the Clarence house with Charles. This offends some people who don't think they should live together if they're not married. But then comes February 10th, 2005, when Camilla and Charles announce their engagement, and now people are worried about something else: Camilla's desire to become queen. From March 2005, Camilla doesn't want queen title, Charles says. A year after Sir Michael Pete comes in, Patty Harvison is hired as the new communications secretary for the Waleses. And again, the wording is a little weird. So it says, quote, Patty Harvison, communications secretary for Charles's office, Clarence House, said the government's legal advice that she would be queen if he did become king did not prevent her from choosing a different title. Okay, but again, this is a big point of concern. People do not want Camilla to be queen, and the claim is that Camilla doesn't want to be queen, so everyone's in agreement. Camilla and Charles marry in April of 2005 in a civil ceremony. Can't get married in the Church of England because they are both divorcees. This is an article from the Times on their wedding day. Charles and Camilla, a quiet success. Quote, the Prince of Wales and Camilla Parker Bowles were married today in a subdued but dignified royal wedding, finally setting a formal seal on a troubled romance which has lasted for more than 30 years. Again, there seems to be this acceptance, at least from the media, that Camilla is here to stay. I think the seal of approval from the Queen certainly helped. Marriage makes it pretty final, although they're both divorcees, so who's to say that, really? And it's not like magically after their wedding, coverage is 100% positive for Camilla. I think the media's acceptance of Camilla and softening her image could be for a couple different reasons. I think time is a factor. I think Queen Elizabeth's acceptance of the relationship is a factor. Obviously, them getting married is a factor. A long-term PR strategy definitely helped. And perhaps Camilla learned something from Bolland and made some media contacts, which we will talk about in later videos. And I also think what helps her is some fresh new blood comes along for the press to enjoy. Stay tuned. I think another reason the press starts to soften on Camilla is that there are new people to focus on. The princes are older, they're dating, and William has been in quite a serious relationship with Kate Middleton, who he proposes to and marries in April of 2011. Here are some articles about Camilla leading up to that and post. This is from The Telegraph, February 2011. Camilla, the great survivor, is a charming ally. The royal bride-to-be will benefit from Camilla's words of advice. Given what we've seen in the last couple of weeks of Camilla potentially, allegedly, making Kate Middleton's life hell, this is kind of funny. Quote, Camilla has been married to the Prince of Wales for over 5 years, but she cannot have forgotten what her old life was like. For many years, the world's press gossiped about her relationship with the prince and monitored her movements. Also an interesting quote. Camilla's great virtue is that she does not attempt to outshine her husband. This laid-back attitude seems to be shared by Catherine, who has spent the past 7 years of her life quietly waiting for William. Kind of feels like a hit. But God, the way the press around Camilla has changed, she's vibrant, she's a survivor really of this media operation, let's be clear. She's laid back, she's resilient, she's the perfect partner for Charles. Ignore everything that the press has said 30 years prior. This is an interesting one from the Daily Mail from 2011. The Duchess of Cornwall will never be Diana, but her enduring dignity has endeared her to the public. She's not Diana, but that's okay. It's a shift in how we've seen her written about previously. This is from 2012, Daily Mail. Once she was a pariah, now Camilla is at the heart of the royal family. That, quote, wicked woman is now making the Queen smile. Again, it is such a dramatic change. This will be important for later. Geordie Gregg became the editor of the Mail on Sunday in March 2012, and then he succeeded Paul Dacre as editor of the Daily Mail in September 2018. April 2015, the public is warming to the idea of Queen Camilla. How far we have come. This one destroys me. It's Camilla, not Kate, who's queen of my heart. Again, we must cut down one woman to uplift another. Camilla shows up and works hard, and that Kate Middleton's recovering from having a baby. Who does she think she is? Meghan Markle comes on the scene in 2016, obviously providing a ton of press fodder. And we're also dealing with Brexit, so I wonder too if the fact that Camilla is this born and bred English woman, if just that, her Englishness also helps soften the public to their view of her. She's a real English woman. Do you know what I mean? In 2017, Camilla starts to talk more openly about her mistreatment in the press. She's a survivor. She's a victim. Again, we don't really see responsibility from anyone, but okay. And then articles start coming in like, hasn't Camilla done enough to become queen? Picking up with more current day articles in the next video. A few months before the Queen's passing, this message comes out from Her Majesty. Queen backs Camilla to be Queen Consort on Jubilee. In a message marking her anniversary, the Queen said that it was her sincere wish that Camilla would get the title. It is just hard to stress how unthinkable this was in the mid-90s. Heck, even after they got married. The fact that she went from being labeled in the press as the ugly stepsister, the side piece, the mistress, she is now the future queen. You knew we weren't going to get through a series without hearing from Camilla Tominey, so let's look at a piece she wrote in 2021. In it, she writes how Camilla has spent 50 years winning over the nation. Quote, half a century on, having softened her look and uncomplainingly got on with the job, the 74-year-old Duchess has slowly won over the British public and is now the 10th most popular person of the royal family. This is an interesting quote. A former employee who first met her in 2004 reveals she wasn't fearful of the press, which was quite unanticipated. She understands the media well. She loves a gossip. She loves a good story. Everyone in her family has got opinions that they freely express, and she loves that. Again, this article speaks to her persistence, help from Prince Charles, the acceptance of his sons, time, etc. But I think it leaves out something pretty big. And that is Operation Camilla Parker Bowles, which was started in the late 90s by Mark Boland, and in many ways, I think, continued on. I think it could be argued that Camilla has learned to play the game and has made friends in the right places on Fleet Street. We have her friend Petronella Wyatt, who was also linked to Boris Johnson, talking about how Camilla helped save the monarchy. Piers Morgan is also a friend. He's written articles such as Camilla is a class act, unlike the pathetically self-serving Duke and Duchess of Sussex. I mentioned the name Geordie Gregg in an earlier video, the editor of the Daily Mail, also a friend of Camilla's, who she consulted with extensively when hiring a new communications secretary. And that new secretary is a Daily Mail executive. His name is Tobin Andre. He worked for the Daily Mail. He's also worked for the Tatler, the same Tatler that Kate and Will went after for publishing an unkind piece about the princess. Quote, Camilla is thought to be keen for Andre to build on the mostly positive media coverage she has received in the recent years. If I were the rest of the royal family, I might be a little troubled by this appointment. It seems like a return to the days of Mark Boland and Fleet Street being in the British royal family's comms offices. It seems like a departure from the Sir Michael Pete days. And that maybe gives us some insight into the direction of the PR strategy of the future king and queen. I know this has been a very long series, and despite it being 12 videos long, there are still more things that I could have fit into it. But what I really wanted to show was the way in which I think Camilla went from this kind of coverage to this kind of coverage, and eventually this. I think this successful PR rehabilitation of Camilla's image is due to several factors. I think time helped soften the edges. I think having new people come into the family, such as Kate Middleton, Meghan Markle, also helps distract the press. Building positive relationships with said press, and hiring a very good spin doctor to do the work for you. People like Mark Boland came in a ruthless pursuit to improve Camilla and Charles's image, even at the expense of their family members. Even people who came later, like Sir Michael Pete and Patty Harvison, realized that Camilla was a non-negotiable, so it also behooved them to make her more palatable to the media and the public. While Mark Boland obviously has media connections, I think that Camilla and Charles, because it's important to remember that they do share a comms team, I think they eventually saw the value of keeping members of the press close. So I surmise that Camilla has spent some time building relationships with the same press who once detested her. We see her with her friendships with people like Geordie Gregg, Piers Morgan, Petronella Wyatt, Jeremy Clarkson, etc. We also see the kind of people that she's bringing on her comms team. And I still can't get over the fact that she stayed friends with Mark Boland after he started writing that column. I don't know if they're still friends, though. I'd have to look into that. And whether they're friends or not, she certainly seems to have the respect and support of writers and editors like Camilla Tominey, biographer Angela Levin, and Caroline Graham. And Caroline Graham and Thomas Markle is an entirely different story we could get into as well. So yes, I think Camilla's complicit in this. I think Charles is complicit. I think everyone is. But I guess what I wonder at the end of the day is, was it worth it? I'm not even here to say that Camilla's end goal was to become queen or anything like that. I do think she genuinely wanted to be with Charles, though. Like, it kind of says a lot to put up with all of that in the name of love. But was it worth creating this dog-eat-dog, individualistic, cannibalistic comm system that the British royal family now has, and this toxic relationship that they continue to have with the media? Was it worth an adversarial, uncomfortable relationship with her stepsons and future daughter-in-laws? What's the price of power? Anyway, that is my research on how Camilla Parker Bowles was able to rehab her image with the British media and become queen. Thank you for staying on this ride with me. I know it was long. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, and I'll try to make some follow-up videos and answer them.